Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Southeast Radio.
Welcome back to Southeast Radio's Business Matters with me, Karl Fitzpatrick. I'm now joined on the line by a resident economist, Marc Coleman. Marc, the Eurozone inflation fell less than many economists forecast in February, fueling expectations that the European Central Bank will raise interest rates several more times this year. The markets have reacted, and the impact of it is that we're seeing Irish government borrowing costs surge back to 2014 levels.
Most of us in economics thought that inflation would come down faster than it's coming down. But what's happening now is it seems to be more stubborn, and there's a risk of something called second round effects. And that's where basically wages start to go up because of inflation. And that is the risk that central bankers don't like. When you asked me a couple of weeks ago what my outlook for interest rates was on the show, I think I said something in the region of 3.75%, maybe 4% as a peak. I would now be worried, Karl, that rates could rise up to 4.5%, possibly by the end of this year. And that is really throwing the ball back in the court of government. I've said it several times. Pascal Donoghue has a tremendous influence in the Eurogroup. I'm a former central bank economist. I cut my teeth on the monetary policy division when the euro was created, and my ultimate boss was the man who created the monetary policy strategy. If he were here today, he would say that interest rates should always have been increased when times were good, not now, but 7 years ago in 2016, 17, 18. Those are the years when the ECB should have increased rates. And had it done so, we would be having much more moderate increases now, 0.25% every 3 months. And that's the way monetary policy should work. Having failed to do that for 10 years, the ECB is now slamming on the accelerator, and it will, by the end of this year, possibly have raised rates by 4% in the space of 18 months. What I'm just puzzled by is the government doesn't seem to be sending any signals to Frankfurt or Brussels about this. That, you know, it's not about a special pleading for Ireland. It's not about that. It's about saying, guys, you can't be doing this given that you did nothing for 10 years during the good times when the recovery was happening from 2012 to 2022, and now you're squeezing it into this period of time. By all means, bring rates back up to where they need to be, but plan it over an orderly, long-term approach, which is what you should do, and don't needlessly destroy livelihoods, needlessly destroy businesses, needlessly force people to lose their home because you're catching up with a mistake you made 10 years ago. I'm just concerned and puzzled, Karl, that we're not hearing that signal. We're not hearing it in the media. And I'm even more puzzled that there is no sight of mortgage interest relief. Many people have seen their mortgage interest payments go up by 200, 300, 400, 500 euros a month. I guess the question I would ask is how long, how much more pain can the ECB inflict on the Irish mortgage holder before there is some relief for people, by the way, who are paying mortgages. When they took that mortgage out, half of the mortgage they borrowed went to the government in tax. Stamp duty, builders' levies, VAT, corporation tax. You know, more than half of what you borrowed for your house went to the government in taxation. And yet mortgage interest relief was taken away a decade ago. It is very puzzling to me that there has been no restoration. And I could talk about why. There are people like the ESRI who probably are protected from economic reality. They're funded by the state. They're not going to lose their jobs because interest rates go up. But for those of us who pay the taxes that fund their pay and pensions, you know, we are the ones who ultimately are up against it. And it just really, really puzzles me that the policy system, the political system, doesn't seem to be concerned about that majority of the electorate. It's very puzzling, Karl.
Well, that was our resident economist, Marc Coleman, and I'd like to thank Marc for his economic analysis.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.